Motivation is not your friend. In fact, if you are relying on it right now to change your life, it is likely the very thing ensuring you fail. We have been sold a lie, a very expensive, very dangerous lie, that suggests the only thing standing between you and your dream life is a feeling, that lightning strike moment of inspiration, where you finally have the drive to wake up at 4 a.m., write that book, or start that business. We treat motivation like fuel. We think if we just get enough of it, we can drive anywhere. But have you ever noticed that the more you get motivated, the less you actually get done? In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to show you why motivation is actually a biological trap designed to keep you dreaming rather than doing. We're going to look at the psychology of reverse thinking. We will dismantle the goal myth using James Clear's Atomic Habits, and we're going to uncover a harsh, uncomfortable truth from Adlerian Psychology about why you might actually want to be stuck. Stop waiting to feel like it, because by the end of this video, you'll realize that feeling like it is the one thing successful people never wait for. Let's start with a scenario we all know. It's 11 p.m. on a Sunday. You've just watched a documentary or a motivational video. You get that surge, that electricity in your chest. You decide everything changes tomorrow. You write down the plan. You're going to the gym 5 days a week. You're learning Spanish. You're cutting out sugar. This phase feels amazing, doesn't it? It feels productive. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, makes a critical distinction here that most of us miss. He calls this motion versus action. Motion is planning, strategizing, and learning. It's searching for the best diet plan. It's buying the running shoes. Action is eating the healthy meal. It is tying the shoes and walking out the door. Here is the trap. Motion feels like progress. When you're planning, you get a hit of dopamine just for thinking about the person you were going to become, but motion produces no result. It is a form of procrastination that makes you feel like you're working. And then Tuesday comes, or Wednesday. The new year's energy fades. The alarm rings, and that electric feeling is gone. You're tired, it's cold, and suddenly you don't feel like doing it. So what do? You go back to the source. You watch another video. You buy a new planner. You try for a better diet. You try to refill the tank of motivation. You are treating motivation like a prerequisite for action. You think, I need to feel good to do good, and that assumption is exactly where the trap snaps shut. Why is this dangerous? Because eventually, you start to tell yourself a story about who you are. When the motivation inevitably runs out, because emotions are temporary, you crash, and in that crash, you don't blame the strategy, you blame yourself. You say, I'm just lazy, I don't have enough willpower, I'm not disciplined like those Navy SEALs on Instagram. This creates a negative compounding loop. As Clear writes, the more you think of yourself as worthless, stupid, or ugly, the more you condition yourself to interpret life that way. But let's raise the stakes. What if I told you that your lack of motivation isn't a defect? What if I told you that your brain is actually doing exactly what it evolved to do? Your brain is a prediction machine. It loves efficiency. It loves safety. Motivation is a high energy state. It is biologically expensive. Your brain wants you to revert to the path of least resistance. If you become dependent on motivation, if you need that spark to act, you are essentially gambling your future on a fleeting chemical reaction that your brain is actively trying to suppress to save energy. You are building a house on a foundation of sand. And here's the kicker. The people you admire, the top 1%, they don't have more motivation than you. They just stopped needing it. We need to break a common belief right now. We think motivation next to action next to result. I feel good, so I run, so I get fit. But the science shows the arrow actually goes the other way. James Clear calls this the dopamine-driven feedback loop. Motivation is often the result of action, not the cause of it. You don't run because you feel good because you ran. But there's a darker psychological layer to this, a layer that comes from the book, The Courage to be Disliked, based on Adlerian Psychology. This is going to hurt to hear. What if you aren't stuck because you lack motivation? What if you are stuck because you chose to be stuck? Adlerian Psychology proposes teleology, the study of purpose, versus etiology, the study of cause. Etiology is what we usually do. I can't go to the gym because I'm tired, or I procrastinate because I have a fear of failure from my childhood. We look for a cause in the past to explain our inaction in the present. Teleology flips this. It says, you are creating the feeling of tiredness or fear in order to achieve a goal. Let that sink in. You aren't staying on the couch because you lack motivation. You are manufacturing a lack of motivation so that you can stay on the couch. Why? Because the couch is safe. If you try to write that book and it's bad, that hurts. If you try to start that business and fail, your ego shatters. But if you can't do it because you just aren't motivated right now, you get to keep the possibility alive without risking the failure. As the philosopher in The Courage to be Disliked says, you want to live inside that realm of possibilities where you can say that you could do it if you only had the time. Your lack of motivation is a shield. You are using it to protect yourself from the risk of being average. So, if motivation is a trap and our brains are conspiring to keep us safe and stagnant, how do we escape? We need to replace motivation with 3 superior forces. Layer 1, environment to willpower. We think self-control is about having a strong character, but Atomic Habits reveals that disciplined people are better at structuring their lives in a way that does not require heroic willpower and self-control. Stop trying to force yourself to work in a room with a TV and a phone. That's a losing battle. Motivation is overrated. Environment often matters more. If you want to practice guitar, put the guitar in the middle of the living room. Make the cue obvious. Design your world so that doing the hard thing is easier than not doing it. Layer 2. Systems to goals. Winners and losers have the same goals. Every Olympian wants the gold medal. The goal didn't make them win. The goal is just the direction. The system is what made them win. A goal is, I want to write a book. A system is, I write for 15 minutes every morning at 7 a.m. When you focus on the goal, you are miserable until you achieve it. When you focus on the system, you can be successful every single time you execute the loop. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And layer 3, identity to outcomes. This is the deepest layer. Most of us try to change our outcomes, lose 10 pounds. But true change happens at the level of identity. Instead of saying, I can't eat that, I'm on a diet, which implies you are a person who wants the food but is restricting yourself, you say, I am not a smoker, or I am an athlete. The goal is not to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner. When you adopt the identity, you don't need motivation to act. You act because that is who you are. You don't have to motivate yourself to brush your teeth, because you are a person who has teeth. It's just what you do. So, let's go back to the start. You're waiting for that feeling, that lightning strike. Stop waiting. Adler taught that life is a series of moments. The past does not exist. The future hasn't happened. There is only now. If you are waiting for motivation, you are rejecting the now in favor of a fantasy future where things are easy. The solution is what I call the 2-minute rule, combined with the courage to be normal. The 2-minute rule, when you don't feel like doing it, tell yourself, I will just do this for 2 minutes. Put on your running shoes, write 1 sentence, read 1 page. You are just mastering the art of showing up. The courage to be normal. Stop trying to be special. Stop trying to be a high performer. Just accept that you are a normal person who needs to do a task. When you drop the need to be special or motivated, you free yourself to just do the work. Motivation is a fair weather friend. It will leave you when the storm comes. Systems, environment, and identity, these are the things that stay. Don't let your life be determined by a mood swing. Build a system so strong that even on your worst days, you still move forward, because you don't need to feel like a pro to behave like one.